In our town, we know what we need. That's why at Bianchi Honda, we sell more CRVs than any other dealership sells all their vehicles combined. We are an SUV town, choosing the #1 rated SUV brand. Lease the 2019 CRV LX all-wheel drive for only $199 per month for 36 months. With over 2 million customers served, around here, we Honda.
Welcome back. Time now for the Gannon Lady Knights Coaches Show. He is the head coach, Jim Brunelli. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday, Alex. Happy Monday, buddy.
Something in your voice. It's almost like we're going to discuss a couple losses.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing, But hey, got a bye week this week. Got a bye Wednesday, and had a good practice this morning. And we got some time to prepare and try to get better. That's what it's all about. Is every time you step on the court, trying to be better than you were the day before.
It's just been peaks and valleys, Coach. And when we were talking about a win streak, we were talking about how much fun that the kids were having. And talked about kind of trying to keep that reined in almost.
Yeah.
Where do you lie on that spectrum in times like these? Of course, you play it out, and you still got hope to remain alive, get in the dance. So
no doubt about it.
That's good.
It's one of those things where everything's in our control. You know what I mean? And that's the nice thing. But like you said, when you're winning, things are going well, and when you get on this losing streak. It's a combination of things. I think it's, the difference, the fine line that you toe between being loose and ready and being too loose and all over the place, and there's that fine line, and you really got to toe it, and you got to be able to handle it mentally as well, because there's a lot of mental stuff that goes into it, and it's tough, it's frustrating, it's hard to take, it's hard to swallow, that type of deal. But it's as a coach, it's part of your job to, try to put that behind and get your team prepared to play the next game, and that's what we're trying to do.
You took on a Cal team that has only suffered 3 losses this year. They're really good. You took them on at their home barn, and from the outset, I don't know, it just looked off. Things looked off. Yeah. Is that fair?
Yeah, no, it was. They came out and showed some full court pressure, and again, the story of that night was turn the ball over. And when you dig yourself a hole, you got to spend the entire 40 minutes trying to make that up, and that's tough to do. It's tough to do against any team, but it's even more difficult to do against a well-coached California team.
For one thing, when Sierra Barrett plays like she did that Wednesday, who's going to beat Cal? And I guess that's just what she does. She does it rather consistently, but just an unbelievable night for her. She had 33 points and 13 rebounds. That doesn't even 3 steals, but that doesn't really put into terms how active her hands were.
No,
the whole team, really.
No, there should be stats like they do in football where there's hurried, there's that type of stuff, and because she would have had a bunch of those tallies, the hurried, the rushed, that type of stuff, because we did that a lot. She is a force to be reckoned with. She's one of the best players in the league, if she isn't the best player in the league. And there's a lot. This is this league, man. There's some really good players in this league, and she showed why she's one of the tops.
What did you take from that game? I know you turned the ball over too much. You mentioned that, but was there good that you took from that? I know Nikola Kava kind of got back on track. So
yeah, that was a positive. Trying to get her back on track, and I thought Tori played well also. Having 8 points, 11 rebounds in a game like that. So there were a couple positives, but there's not many positives you can take to that. I think one of the messages we sent in the locker room that, I know my assistant coach, Christina Harvey, said that, a loss like this should sting, and it should. If you're playing in a game and you lose, it should sting. And then the other thing I said is once it's done stinging, then you gotta erase it from your memory, because you can't be thinking about a game where you turn the ball over 33 times.
Sure.
Because you're not going to have anything really positive. But like you said, there was a positive with getting Nicole back on track, and because we're going to need her down the stretch. We're going to need everybody on this team down the stretch. But when you got a kid who's your leading scorer, and everybody's throwing everything at her, we got to have her back on track, and I think we do.
In theory, and we'll get into the Edinburgh game and then the remainder of the schedule, but in theory you could see how this would kind of put things into perspective. So you talked about towing that line of being too loose. I mean, this pretty much, it's right there in front of you. You're too loose, then you don't get to dance. But you're not, then you're going. Because this team, they've won games. You've seen them put it together.
Yeah, no. And I know you've been along for a lot of those games. And when you see the potential and what we're capable of playing we can play with any team in this league. And we've showed that at times. We just haven't done it at a 30, 45-minute clip like we need to against the really good teams.
79-66 Saturday against Edinburgh, but let's just skip right to Tori Obenrader's stat line in this game. I thought it was a misprint. 20 points, 17 boards.
Yeah, no. I mean, if you look at what she's done, I mean, she's done some great work this season, and for a freshman, that's tremendous. And a couple positives that came away from this game. I mean, when you can have 4 of your starting 5 scoring double figures, that's always a good thing. Again, and then you have your bench come in and score a little bit as well. But again, the turnovers. The first quarter, we were headed in the right direction, just like we did at Edinburgh. We had 7 assists, 1 turnover in that first quarter, and then the second quarter it flipped. We had 1 assist, 8 turnovers. So that's been that bugaboo, and then it just, we had another 8, another 9 or whatever we had after that to total up 19 turnovers. And they scored a bunch of points off our turnovers, and that's what extended that lead. And some of our turnovers weren't the greatest, and we'd turn it over, and they'd go down and hit a 3. We'd come down, turn it over again, they go down and hit a 3, and that's what they did to extend it. I think there was 3 threes in a row, and some of their players hit big time shots. They had 2 kids that started for them who didn't really start any games prior, and they had career highs. I think they combined for 25 points. And in order to win games, you need other people to step up. And for Edinburgh, they had those players step up. And we did as well. We had 4 of our players get, like I said, that's a good night at the office. But when you turn the ball over that many times and you give them more opportunities to score, they capitalized on it.
You've gone with a little bit of a different rotation to start games. I mean, like you said, you started out pretty hot in this one. 23-15, you outscore them in the first quarter. So obviously the starting rotation is okay.
Yeah, no, and it did, and even we finished that quarter with some different players in there than our starters. And it's just one of those things where it's an ongoing thing trying to figure out some of these turnovers and what they're looking at and what they're seeing. And what they're trying to do with them. And I guess I'm sure it's frustrating for our players. It's even more frustrating for the coaching staff because we're trying to see what they see, and some of them it's not apparent to us. And obviously it's hard to go back in time and say, now what were you really looking at? Because you don't always get a clear answer, and in that split-second decision, we don't know what they're seeing, and they might not remember what they were, I thought they were open. That type of deal.
And it happens.
And it's not like you can go ballistic and say, well, it's not, but, at that time, they made that decision to make that pass, and it wasn't the right pass. It got stolen or deflected, and then, we lose somebody, and it ends up in a 3-point shot, and with a team that shoots the 3 very well and have players that are capable of shooting the 3 very well, you got to make sure you stay on them. And as we know, Edinburgh, they have 4 1,000-point scorers on that roster. So, that doesn't happen a whole lot. I know it's happened here at Gannon before, and I know it's happened at other schools that I've been at, but it's a very special thing, and they took advantage of that. But, I say it all the time, turnover bug goddess. You're not going to win many games against any team turning the ball over as many times as we do, but you're not going to win against good teams turning the ball over even 19 times.
Sure. And this would be the hardest thing for me if I were in your shoes. Mm-hmm. First of all, we'd be way worse. It'd be bad. And I just don't know basketball like you do. But Cal, that's a lopsided game, so I would want to, if we still had VHS tapes, I would throw it out the window on the drive home. but you got to find something to learn from, right? Or do you do that sometimes?
Well,
Do you throw tape out?
Yeah, that was one that, I think as a coaching staff, we all watch it. But
Spend less time.
Yeah, we don't, I wasn't going to show that
Makes
to our
sense.
team. You know what I mean? Because there's some times where, I think the obvious is the obvious. And if you keep bringing it up, it's like, hitting it with a hammer.
Sure.
I think sometimes we need that. And I didn't think we needed it at this time.
You heard the good news, right?
No.
You're kidding.
No.
Freshman of the week? You
I
could
haven't
get it.
checked.
Tori Open.
You would hope that she would get it with
20,
the performance
yeah.
that she did, but I
Correct.
have been off social media. But that's another
I
congratulations.
kind of believe
story.
you. I was like,
No, I haven't.
I'm like, watch this, Josh. I'll bring this up, and I'm going to watch real closely. I'll know.
Yeah.
I could tell.
Well, if you on Twitter, you would have probably seen if I liked it or retweeted it. And
True.
I haven't.
You would
been
think,
on it.
well, if I were that observant, maybe
Right.
that would be
Right.
fair to
Come
assume.
on,
But
you're
hey,
observant.
boom. So
You
there
got
you go. That's good. I mean, that's, again, we can keep pointing to the future as a source of excitement. Of course, the coaches don't want to hear about that, but fifth time this season,
No, super
second
proud of
consecutive
her.
week.
I mean, super proud of her. She's a super talented young lady, and the great thing about it is she's very humble, and she's a hard worker. This morning, we started practice, a little skill development at 5:50. We ended at 2, 3, 4 minutes after 8, and she was back out on the gun, our Dr. Dish machine, getting up a couple hundred shots. That led till about 8:30, 8:45. So you wonder why things are going well for her. You can look at the work that she puts in, and it's tremendous. And those are the things that coaches like to see, because for us, we're gonna want kids to come in and get better. Whether it's watching film, whether it's getting shots up with a coach, whether it's getting shots up on a machine that we have, Dr. Dish machine, and I've never really seen or been exposed to a person who puts in that extra work and it doesn't pay off for them somewhere down the line. I've been on the opposite end. I've seen the kids who may not spend as much time and they don't get the results that they're looking for. But I've never seen it the other way around, where they put in that time and they don't get what they deserve. That type of deal.
Does Tori set the bar in her own head, or do you think there's someone that sets that bar nicely for your team? I know she comes from a strong program traditionally.
Yeah.
North Clarion, girls hoops, they're no slouch.
No, they're not. They're a well-coached team, and they've been very good. And I just think it's her competitiveness and her drive. She wants to win, and she wants to succeed, and she wants to do well every time she steps on the court. Now, I say that, and by me saying that about her, doesn't mean that nobody else on our team does that.
Gotcha.
And I don't want to get the wrong impression, because it seems people get that impression
Sure.
when you talk about one player. And you
No,
don't talk
I
about
almost
the
led
others.
you off the cliff there.
But it's not that way. It's just one of those things where we have a lot of kids that are very competitive, and those are good things. Those are the kids I like to recruit. I want things to matter, and so I don't know if there's something mentally in there that she's doing, and I'm not gonna try to get in her head right now, because what she's
Don't reinvent the
doing
wheel.
is we just want to keep letting her play her game. And I know the one thing that she's taken to heart, and she's always rebounded the ball, but she's taken to heart. I think she really understands the concept we talk about. The more rebounds you go after, the more opportunity you're going to get. Now, she got 17 rebounds. Okay. She went up. I can honestly say, by watching film, she probably went up. She went after almost every single one of them when she was on the court. You have to get that many rebounds. 17, that's ridiculous. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You have to go after. So if you only get 4, 5, or 6, you might only be going after 10 or 12. But in order to get 17, you got to be going after almost every dang thing that comes off that rim. You know what I mean? And that gives you the more opportunity to grab that. If you only go after one every 4 shots, and you don't play 40 minutes a game, you're not going to get that many rebounds. And if you watch her, it's not like these things are just landing in her lap. She's going up and ripping down rebounds. And I told her one time, I said, man, you rip it down so much, I'm afraid somebody on the other team is going to get hurt. Because if they're anywhere near the ball when she has it, good Lord, she's strong as an ox. And I joke, one of my old mentors, Coach Parsons from Clarion, used to joke around and say, look, you go after a rebound, you grab something round. I don't care if it has hair on it or not. You know what I mean? That type of deal. But sometimes she rips the ball like that, and it's like, whew, stay away. You know what I mean? Because she's a strong young lady, and I'm super happy she's on our team.
Just to put into perspective, she got 17 against Edinburgh. What'd you say she had against Cal? 8? I'm putting you on the
No, it was
spot.
8 points. I think it was 11 rebounds.
11 rebounds, even better.
Yeah.
How many does your team average per game? Do you know off the top of your head?
I
Pop
don't, but
quiz.
I know we're up. I think we're second.
38.
38. Yeah.
17.
Yeah.
She had
yeah.
17 in a game. That's
yeah,
crazy.
That's tremendous.
All right. Mercyhurst on Saturday. Well, let's start with Wednesday. What will you do Wednesday? Will you practice?
We practice. We'll
Okay.
practice in the morning. We're probably going to watch, excuse me, we'll probably watch our film. Normally, we watch film. You know, if we play on a Wednesday, like today would be our film day in the morning of that team. So we watch film, then we prepare for 2 days. So we're gonna move it back. We're gonna watch film Wednesday because our schedule's a little bit different with all the kids in class and everything. We got to practice in the morning Wednesday. So we're gonna watch film that morning, hit the court right after, and start preparing for Mercyhurst. We'll probably start preparing tomorrow a little bit, but as far as film and scouting report, that'll be Wednesday.
And then the only different thing about Saturday is 5:30 p.m. So prime time. Now down here at the Hammer Mill Center,
Yeah.
the Porreco Pride of Erie, the second installment, and it will be maybe the biggest game of the year. I mean, well, that's putting it overstating because
Every
you got 2
game
more
is the
after
big game of the year, but that's a nice one because it's our senior night as well. And you know, we're gonna send off 3 seniors, and you know, 2 4-year players in Nicola Cava and Lauren Tavis, and then a 3-year player who transferred in, Annie Least Horns.
Great stuff. That is 5:30 on Saturday, and I know you're not going to discuss your game plan with me, so.
No, it's just one of those things where, you know, I think a lot of stuff is we watch film and we'll watch film of ourselves, we watch film of them, and you know, I think a lot of coaches will tell you that, you know, they want to be prepared for what the other team can do, but it's more about what we do, not necessarily what they do.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Coach Richard does some nice stuff up there. She runs some good offenses. She has some really nice, talented players. But we got to worry about us taking care of the ball, making sure we're executing, seeing the floor, making the correct passes, and then keeping those talented players in front of us, you know, making them take hard shots, limiting them to only 1 shot, and that means we're boxing out, we're rebounding the ball. So, you know, I watch, that's all I do Sunday mornings is watch film for about the first 5-6 hours of the day. Is just go review our film, review their film, review some of their other game films, watch our film again. And then it's just trying to get practice ready. And you know, our coaching staff, Coach Jan and Coach Harvey, they put in a ton of time. They put in a ton of time watching film and just trying to get our team prepared. But I think it's more of the fact of, hey, let's get our stuff in order, and we'll go from there.
He's Jim Brunelli, head coach of the Gannon Lady Knights. Off Wednesday. Good luck on Saturday, Coach.
Thank you, buddy. We'll see you then.